Hello, folks. This is Jimmy Doolin here with another sit down. And today I'm sitting with my friend Tyce Carlson. Hello, Tyce. How are you?
Doing great. How about yourself, Jimmy?
Good. You know what? Of course, everyone knows that mug. You're no stranger to TV, or I realize we're not on TV, but you're no stranger to the camera. You've had a pretty extensive time on film, whether it was race cars or news broadcasting. Pardon me. Correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's been a very blessed life so far.
Yeah. So you started out in the racing world, and give me an idea. Like, I what does racing do to prepare you for real estate, or how did you go from racing to real estate?
Well, from racing, when I retired in 2002, I took a year doing like custom cars and stuff like that, and I just knew that that wasn't for me. So actually, I called Biff Ward. She grew up with my dad. I'd known her forever, and asked her, "Hey, do you think I'd be good in real estate?" And she is in the best Biff Ward voice. She's like, "Honey, you'd be great. You got to do this and that." And yeah, so I started from there. But really, racing throughout my career, I always had to find my own money. So I always had to be in front of people. I always had to ask for business. I always had to ask for rides. I always had to go in front of Fortune 500 companies asking for sponsorship. So that translates into everything that we do in real estate. If no one knows you're in real estate, then you're not going to sell a house. You have to go out there. You have to put yourself in front of everybody and let them know what you do, how you do it. And that incorporates into leads and to you either listing a house or getting a buyer.
You know, that's amazing. I never made that connection, but that's fascinating. The ask, right? I mean, because the product is you, whether it was in real estate or whether it was in racing, the product was you, and you had to find people that wanted to get behind and believe that product, whether it's to write a check to support your team, or if it was to hire you to buy or sell a piece of real estate for them.
Correct.
That's
And at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. It's all about you. The brand that you have behind you, which is us with Remax Ability Plus, that's a major behind us. But at the end of the day, the people are hiring you. They're hiring you to represent you. They're hiring you to be the best person to either get them the best deal on a sell or to get them the best deal on a purchase. And I tell when I'm in a listing all the time, I tell them we all have the same tools. You're going to have this agent from this company, that agent from that company. We're all going to come in. Basically, we all have the same tools. What you're really hiring is the person that you trust the most to negotiate the best deal for you and to get you to the closing
Yeah, I so agree. By the way, just to flashback, because I had no idea that you and I had this in common. I too called Biff when I was getting into real estate. So that was my first phone call because she was graduated high school with my father, and they were dear friends. So at any event, 2008 is when you joined us,
game.
and since 2008, you have sold a little over $43 million in real estate. Did you know that?
I track my sales all the time to
Do
see where
you?
I'm at. But obviously, as well as I do, I have a couple different businesses going on, and I pride myself on, you know, on doing as much as I can when I can. And if I'm only selling, 10 houses a year, 5 houses a year, that doesn't, appease me. So I want to be up to where what I consider the big hitters are. That's where I'm at in any of my businesses when I was in, racing Indy cars or whatever. I want to be towards the top of my game.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly a big number. By the way, you've also donated over $2,400 to Children's Miracle Network, and which is our company company corporate giving program, and so we certainly appreciate your gifts. So tell me this, an interesting sale, something different, difficult, hard, exciting, fascinating, whatever. Tell me something about an interesting transaction that you've been in, or a piece of real estate that you saw, or something along those lines.
Well, it's probably one of the transactions that I'm in right now. It's a $1.6 million listing that I have out in Jamestown, largest listing that I've ever had, but it's a unique property. It's a new construction pole barn house. So if you look at, you think people think pole barns, they think, oh, that's just an outbuilding on, on somebody's farm or something like that. But in today's world, especially in the racing industry, these houses are very popular. It's a pole barn construction, and it's pretty much half shop, half living quarters. So, so that in itself is very unique to the buyer. And there's only a certain amount of buyers out there. So the marketing on that property has been a little different than any other kind of marketing that I've had to do, because I know that I have to pinpoint not every buyer out there, but just a certain buyer that can say, okay, I want to justify 5,000 square foot of living quarters and 5,000 square foot of shop space that I can bring, say, my racing team, whether it's a car collector, that, that they're renting out space in different shops right now. They can justify, okay, instead of renting that space and spending $3,000 or $4,000 a month and paying somebody else on the lease, now I can put that in my own home and have it all right there on the same property.
Gotcha. Do you have a preference? Do you like listing or buyers, or is it 6 of one, half dozen the other?
I usually do 50% of each, it seems like, and it's all about the people to me. It's not about the listing or the buyer. It's about getting something accomplished for somebody who is my client, who eventually I consider, a friend or a family member, and getting them to the end result that they want.
So speaking of that, is your business predominant? Is it online leads? Is it geographical? Where does your business come from?
My business is 100% referral based. I've never bought one lead in my life. It's all, staying in contact with past clients, staying in contact with current clients, and then just, basically people referring me what they can. And it's worked out the best for me. I'm a big fan of writing, handwritten letters a couple times a year to everybody that I know, letting them know that I'm still in the business, because believe me, they will forget that you're in the business if you don't stay in touch with them, whether it's a family member or a friend, they will forget. So just doing that, and not being afraid to ask for business from them, not being afraid to ask for referrals. I remember when we first started in this business, I would I would go into a Mars supermarket or a Kroger, and I'd walk out and somebody would be sitting there looking at one of the old home magazines that were always in the little foyer area.
Right.
And I'd embarrass my wife every time, because I'd walk up to the people, say, hey, are you looking for a house to buy or sell? Because this is what I do for a living, and ask them if I can help them. You're not going to get any business if you don't ask for it.
So you're a family guy besides being a broker and a business owner. Favorite vacation for you and the family?
The favorite spot that we go to is down to Fort Myers Beach. We stay at the same Wyndham Gardens, and every time that we go down there, it's got a nice little bar called Pinchers right there, and that's our go-to spot. We go right out to the beach from there, and just looking at water. We go there, and then we go down to a condo that we have at the Lake of the Ozarks that we've had for 26 years now. Really any place that has water, but those two spots are our best spots.
Favorite food?
My favorite food has to be Italian. Avanti's in Scottsdale is our favorite Italian place to go to, but lasagna has to be my favorite of all time.
Gotcha. So if somebody was working with you, what is that experience like? I mean, are you on a team? You an individual? You hands-on? Is it you have an army of people helping you? What's it like?
I'm 100% solo. Obviously we have our staff at the office that really helps us out tremendously, but I try to make every client feel like they are my only client. That being said, if I'm out with them on a listing presentation, or if I'm out there showing them houses, if my phone rings, the only time I'll answer is if they allow me to, if it's something important. Every one of my clients, like I said, they think that, they're the only thing that I've got going on right now. And I pride myself in that, not making them think that, they're below the next person that I have in mind.
Somebody in the house wanted to be heard. Who's our friend?
That would be Lola, and there must be kids getting off the buses right now, because she's going a little frantic. Now that's her normal daily deal.
What is
Lola
Lola?
Lola is a 87-pound blonde lamb. She's 7 years old. She's a big girl and she's a good protector.
Good, good. Well, certainly we all need protectors in life, right?
Absolutely.
So when you get when how I mean, if your business is based on referrals and based on people, how do you create, that awareness to get somebody to be willing to refer you? I mean, it's one thing for me to have a good experience, but it's another thing for me to go out and actually proactively tell someone else, hey, I think you should use the agent I use, Tice.
I think that it's really about the relationship that you build with them. You can have a great experience, but if that person, you know, and you told us that this a million times, the number one factor in real estate that people don't refer you is because they never hear from you again. So my main goal is to not only make my clients, just clients, but they become more of a family to me. I really care about what they do, what their kids do, what their family members do. Whether you find out through social media or through word of mouth or contacting them directly, it's just really staying in touch with people.
You've said two things that really stand out. Number one was keeping in touch, through writing notes or calls or whatever. And then the other thing you said, and you even, with your kind of stoic face, you even cracked a little smile when you said, "I've never bought a lead." It seemed like almost a moment of a prideful confession. So the two of those go hand in hand, right? Not buying leads and treating people the way that they should be treated so that they'll refer you.
You're absolutely correct. If people have a bad experience with you, there's no way that they're going to refer you to anybody else. And don't get me wrong, you will have a bad experience. If you're in the business, any business long enough, you will have a bad experience. We always say don't burn bridges. There will be a bridge burnt here and there. You'll have to fire a client. The client will have to fire you. Sometimes you just don't gel, personality wise with somebody else. You may be the dominant, they may be the dominant, what have you, but you may not gel with them. So that being said, we have had those experiences before, but my main goal is at the end of the day to build a relationship with all of my clients and make them clients for life.
Well, I think that your various roles in terms of both your previous life of racing and now your current life of doing the news, you certainly have to be cautious, right? Your reputation is everything. Because if your reputation was no good, boy, being on TV would not be a really wise spot, would it?
You're absolutely, you're 100% right. And reputation, it follows you wherever you go.
How,
Whether it's a Yelp review or somebody posting something negative about you on social media or anything like that. And I pride myself on having a good relationship and good reviews with everybody. You talk about my past racing life, that has become probably 50 to 60% of my business on my referrals and everything that I do. But outside of that, it's everything, all my groups of friends that we do things with, my kids, friends and their parents that we do things with, and that's where I pride myself on getting those referrals because it's more of a trust factor than anything. And if they trust you, that means more than just liking you.
how important is the relationship with the other realtor on the other side of a transaction?
I find it more than just important. I find it imperative that you have to have a good relationship. You'll find yourself in spots where, the other where the other agent, they've been in the business longer than you or whatever, and they'll try and belittle you or talk down to you. It just brings a negative factor in the business. When you leave a closing table and the other agent looks at you and goes, "Thanks for a great smooth transaction," that means as much as your client saying the same thing, because when you put a purchase agreement together or an agent puts a purchase agreement together with you and they see your name on the other side and they go to their clients and say, "Hey, I've had transactions with Tyce in the past and it's been great to work with him. This is, the way that it's going to work out." that means a lot. That means a lot to yourself personally and to the business that you've created.
Well, and I think it's really important for that client, right? Because in this competitive era where, maybe 8 offers will come in or 10 offers or some crazy number of offers may come in on a house, the client is to either to their benefit or their detriment, they inherit the reputation of the agent who wrote their offer. So
You're
if
absolutely right. And if I write an offer and if I'm representing the buyer and I know that I've got a great relationship with the listing agent, well, first of all, I'm calling that listing agent and say, hey, this is what's going on. But I know on the flip side that that listing agent is going to go to their seller and say, okay, we've got 8 offers. I've worked with A, B, and C and all these offers. And I know that Tyce has brought me 3 or 4 great buyers. They're always pre-qualified. There's no nonsense on inspection responses or anything like that. And even though it's the same offer as these other offers, I think that this one's going to go through smoother than those offers. And
I
that means
to-
a lot.
I agree with you 100%. Hey, this was fun. As I knew it would be, as a longtime friend and colleague, I knew that I would enjoy today's meeting. I certainly appreciate it and have the utmost respect for you and your professionalism and hard work and everything. And I wish you nothing but continued success in the years to come.
Well, I appreciate that. And I still remember the day that you and I sat at Kona Jackson, had lunch talking about coming here. And that was the only decision that I made.
Well, I chalk it up. I often make light of it and say that the fastest decision maker I know is Tyce Carlson. So I certainly appreciated it. I remember scratching my head thinking, wow, he's really being nice to me. So anyway, I greatly appreciate it. Well, and I think it's benefited us both tremendously.
Absolutely. It's great having longtime friends.
You too. Take care, sir.